The film begins 30 years prior, featuring a young Jack O'Malley, Wyatt Hunt, at a family Christmas gathering. He excitedly takes his cousins upstairs to reveal that their parents, not Santa Claus, have given them gifts. However, Jack's Uncle Rick, Mark Evan Jackson, comes upstairs to reprimand him for his antics. Fast forward to the present day, where Jack, Chris Evans, has become an expert tracker. He sneaks past mall security by creating a diversion, setting a Christmas tree on fire, before sneaking inside to plant a device. In a particularly mean-spirited move, he even swipes candy from a baby. At the mall, Santa, referred to as Red One, J.K. Simmons, is busy with his annual responsibilities, assisted by his top bodyguard, Callum Drift, Dwayne Johnson, who leads the ELF at the North Pole. Santa surveys the chaotic scene and expresses disdain for the greed and rudeness of holiday shoppers. Callum takes a firm stand against an overzealous wannabe influencer who interrupts a family's moment with Santa, using enough intimidation to make them leave. Everyone seems to recognize that he is the real Santa, but Callum is intensely committed to safeguarding him. Back in his apartment, Jack speaks with a mysterious employer who pays him only half of the originally offered amount, promising the remainder once they verify the target they need him to track. Callum and Santa return to the North Pole, concealed by an enchanted force field. Upon arrival, they greet Mrs. Claus, Bonnie Hunt, after which Callum shares a candid conversation with Santa. He expresses his desire to retire, feeling disheartened by the holiday spirit. Santa tries to reassure him that the job still has its value. Suddenly, a group of mercenaries breaches the force field, prompting Callum to notice the flickering lights in Santa's tower. Concerned, he investigates and discovers that Santa is missing. Spotting the intruders, Callum takes off in pursuit on a snowmobile, but he is unable to catch them before they escape with Santa. The North Pole receives a call from Zoe Harlow, Lucy Liu, the director of MORA, the Mythological Oversight and Restoration Authority, who is informed of the situation. She tells Callum that they need to locate an expert tracker known as the Wolf, Jack, as they have only 24 hours left until Christmas Eve. Meanwhile, Jack receives a call from his ex, Olivia, Mary Elizabeth Ellis, informing him that their son Dylan, Wesley Kimmel, has gotten into trouble at school for trying to hack the PA system. Dylan got caught when a friend informed on him. Jack scolds Dylan, not for the act itself, but for the poor execution. Dylan mentions he has a concert that evening but claims he wouldn't mind if Jack doesn't show up. Jack feels a sense of regret over being an absent father. Upon returning to his apartment, Jack is confronted by a group of North Pole mercenaries. He manages to fend them off, but Zoe arrives to subdue him and take him back to the North Pole. There, he faces Callum and the imposing polar bear bodyguard, Garcia Reynaldo Faberli, because he is classified as a Level 4 naughty lister. Jack explains that he was hired by someone to perform tracking, but had no idea what the job entailed or who he was supposed to track. He soon discovers that Santa has been abducted, which he finds hard to believe. But Zoe assures him that all the mythological creatures thought to be imaginary are, in fact, real. They witness the Headless Horseman's arrival, for instance. Meanwhile, Santa regains consciousness in a cell, where he meets his captor, a young woman, Kiernan Shipka. She connects Santa to a machine that drains his energy to power a weapon, a magical snow globe prison known as a Glaskafig. Reluctantly, Callum and Jack join forces to rescue Santa and save Christmas. Their adventure begins as they travel through a portal in a toy store, where they enlarge a toy car to use as their vehicle. Their journey takes them to Aruba, where they seek out the man who facilitated the deal between Jack and the villain, a character named Ted, Nick Kroll. After Callum uses his ability to shrink and grow to battle Ted's henchmen, they confront him and learn that the true antagonist is Grýla, the Christmas witch. When Jack inadvertently utters her name, since Grýla can hear whenever it is spoken, she uses Ted to communicate with Callum, threatening to punish everyone on Santa's naughty list. A short time later, an ice cream truck emerges from the ocean, but it's not a typical ice cream truck. Instead, 3 enormous and monstrous snowmen come out, chasing Jack and Callum. The two try to respond, but the snowmen have an extraordinary ability to regroup themselves after being damaged. Callum manages to knock the carrot nose off the first snowman, destroying it, while Jack causes a massive explosion by tossing a propane tank onto a grill and then hurling a bottle of liquor at the second snowman. However, the third snowman is about to trap Jack in a frozen pool when Callum steps in and removes its nose as well. Meanwhile, Ted is currently unable to provide any more information because he has been frozen. When Zoe catches up with Jack and Callum, they discuss their next move. Callum suggests that they investigate the lair of Santa's estranged brother, who may be working with Grýla. However, Callum and Jack decide to go undercover to the lair without MORA's knowledge. Grýla tries out her new Glaskafig on a man named Aaron Abel, but when he touches it, he becomes trapped inside. Grýla becomes frustrated when the device doesn't return to her as expected, so she changes her plans. Jack receives a call from Olivia, who scolds him for not attending Dylan's concert. Jack talks to Callum about his feelings towards his son Dylan, acknowledging that he hasn't been the best father to him in the past. The duo arrives at the lair of Santa's brother, who turns out to be Krampus, Christopher Hivju. Jack inadvertently alerts Krampus and his minions to their presence. When he attempts to grab a piece of gold from the lair, they are captured and brought before Krampus. Callum tries to explain their predicament and insists that his brother needs him, but Krampus is uninterested and plans to keep Callum as a prisoner. In a twist, Jack challenges Krampus to a game of Krampus Schlap, which requires Callum to withstand a hard slap from Krampus. Callum makes several attempts to appeal to Krampus's better side, but he ends up getting slapped so hard that he flies backward. Before Callum faces another slap, Jack activates an arm brace on him, allowing Callum to deliver a strong hit back to Krampus, giving both of them the chance to escape. Callum praises Jack for his clever idea. Once they return to their car, they discover a package from Grýla addressed to Jack, but he chooses not to open it. Jack then receives a video call from Dylan, who is frustrated that Jack missed the concert and was left with his own package containing the Glaskafig. When Dylan touches the Glaskafig, he gets teleported away. Jack realizes he must grab his own globe to chase after Dylan, while Callum heads off to find them. Jack and Dylan end up in Grýla's lair, where she revels in the effectiveness of the Glaskafigs. After they escape, Jack apologizes to Dylan for being a poor father. Dylan forgives him, and Jack's ability to improve his naughty status enables them to grow and break free from the globes. Earlier, Zoe had placed a tracker on Jack, which allows Callum to discover that he and Dylan are at the North Pole, indicating that Grýla never took Santa from there. Additionally, they find out that Grýla's minions, who can shapeshift, have assumed the identities of Mrs. Claus and other guards at the North Pole. Callum successfully finds Jack and Dylan, and they meet up with Zoe, realizing that Grýla plans to use Santa to operate his sleigh and deliver globes worldwide, imprisoning anyone she considers naughty. The heroes quickly race to thwart her plans after rescuing Mrs. Claus, Garcia, and others. As Grýla begins to leave the North Pole, Callum and Jack catch up to her sleigh. A battle ensues on a ramp, during which Jack manages to unhook the reindeer from the sleigh, causing it to stop flying and sending Grýla over the edge. Callum attempts to wake Santa, but Grýla reappears in her true form as a massive and terrifying ogre. Just as she's about to attack the heroes, Krampus arrives in his own sleigh to lend his assistance. Krampus fights back, though Grýla easily tosses him around, which he doesn't seem to mind. Meanwhile, Santa regains consciousness and calls upon his reindeer to launch an attack on Grýla, sending her soaring into the air until she crashes into a pile of globes, effectively trapping her inside one. Zoe then takes Grýla into custody. Everyone rushes to prepare Santa to carry out his duties. Callum, Jack, and Dylan accompany him as they travel around the globe, witnessing Santa deliver presents and spread joy to children everywhere. Callum observes Jack and Dylan bonding and even catches a glimpse of Jack's inner child. This moment affects Santa, making him realize that Callum has changed his perspective on retiring. Santa then takes them back home,